Welcome everybody, welcome to Sooty FM Live, our Tuesday talk show, second edition, with myself, DJ Sooty and DJ Blondie.
Hi guys.
We've got a couple of excellent experts with us today, going to be sharing their views and their expertise around well-being, and we're going to be talking about both the mental and the physical side of well-being. So hope you have all got yourselves comfortable, got yourselves a drink ready to hand, and ready to engage with us throughout the show. Welcome to the show. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in already. Just a very quick reminder, if you've got any questions for our guests throughout the show, please get them in the comments, and we will, we'll ask you questions to the experts and see what they have to say. You'll have to excuse the sort of business, or not business, the building work going on in the background. We're upgrading the studio here at Sooty FM just so we can have a bit more space for entertaining and having some fun on our Friday sessions. So excuse the woodwork and everything else. But how are we doing on this Tuesday evening? We are towards the end of January. How are you doing? The first month of 2021, it's almost over. Another 10, 11 days to go.
That's it. We're all good. We're under construction, as you can see. So yeah, it's eventful in the Sooty household right now. Hope you guys are well.
That's it. Just do some hellos while people are joining. Welcome, Angie. Yes, we're both doing well. Thank you very much. Welcome, Andrea. And another Andrea. Welcome, Andrea Achilleos as well from freezing Cyprus. So it's not actually that cold here in the UK today. So maybe we win today. Maybe we win the temperature.
I'm in a jumper and he's in a t-shirt as normal. So yeah, there's the temperature for you.
That's it. Welcome, Marie Georgiou. Welcome, Banika. Welcome to the show, everybody. And remember, whichever platform you're listening in on and watching us, big shout out to everyone on the Sooty FM Facebook page. And a massive shout out to everyone who's watching in through our brand new YouTube channel, Sooty FM. As you can see, it's scrolling across the bottom as well. Please subscribe, like, and share the YouTube channel. Keep supporting us here at Sooty FM so we can continue to bring you great content like this. And of course, our Friday parties as well. So please hit that subscribe. And if you're watching on the Sooty FM Facebook page as well, our Friday night parties, which you'll all be used to, we've been having some issues with our good old friends Facebook police over recent weeks. So potentially Sooty FM, the YouTube channel, could be the way forward. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of our shows. Thank you to Anja. She shared it already. Excellent. Spread the word. Share the live. Don't matter which platform you're listening in on. And thank you to everyone. Welcome to Maria and to Lucia. Welcome, ladies, and welcome, girls, to the show. Right, so Andrea wants to know what's in your mug, Sam. What are you drinking today?
I've got coffee in this mug.
But just following on from last week's
I'll go
show.
and grab it for her.
There we go. Oh, there's our first little guest. Alicia's popping her head in. Welcome, Penny and Daniel. Welcome to the show. We are just going to wait for Blondie to come back with her drink, and then I think we'll be able to kick off the show in just a couple of minutes and introduce our first guest. So do you want to explain for those that missed it last week? So
Andrea last week was our teacher on the show, and she said that drinking any drink in a wine glass helps her to, process her day and just helps her throughout the day. So I thought, you know what, today I've got a bit of a headache, homeschooling and stuff like that. I feel a bit run down. So for my mental well-being, I tried the glass thing. So I have got it, but I'm a bit cold, so I'm having the coffee first.
That's it. So just a reminder. So Andrea Achilleos has said, I would like a special request, please, for Helen Sofagli, Saga Bo, Antonis Remos. Thank you. I can do you the shout out. But Andrea, today's Tuesday show is very much a talk show where we're talking about different topics. So there's no music today. That's our Friday night party. Sooty FM was live every Friday and is live every Friday for the music and the party. But we've set up a brand new talk show every Tuesday, which we kicked off last week, where we'll be talking about different topics of interest to the community all over the world, just to help people through different situations, etc. So I can do the shout out, big shout out to Helen Sofogli, but there is no music tonight, so apologies for that. You'll have to tune back in on Friday for our party show, when we can definitely get your shout outs and your requests, and obviously all your songs in as well. Welcome to Stella Ioano as well, all the way out in Australia. Thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in. And I think without any further ado, it's time to kick off with our first guest. Big hi to Yoda as well from Cyprus. Loads of people tuning in from Cyprus. Freezing cold Cyprus, we're here. So wrap up warm, nice hot drink, and let's go. Welcome to Maria Agosti as well. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget any shout outs, any comments, any questions that you might have throughout the show about well-being, mental or physical, or any questions you want to ask our guest speakers, then please get them in the comments as well, and we will do that throughout the show. So without any further ado, it's time to introduce our first guest, Fodis Gelaris. I'll let him introduce himself fully and what it is he does and where he's from. So welcome, Fodi. Welcome to the show.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Hi, Foddy. You okay?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. Thank you for having me on the show. Hopefully people find this useful.
That's it.
So I'm Foddy, everyone. Good evening. I'm the founder of Athena Consultancy UK. I'm really excited to be here with you tonight to speak to you about mental wellbeing. Worked in professional services, special needs education, and banking throughout the last 16 years. And throughout that time, I've developed a passion for helping people achieve their life goals and dealing with life stresses. So it's something that I've got a real passion for in helping people cope when they can't, or helping them plan a way of getting to somewhere. So it's one of the things. So this passion led me to actually creating Athena Consultancy UK. And it's my baby. I call it my baby, and everyone laughs at it, but it's my baby. And I love it very much. And look, the service that we offer is focused around life coaching and goal coaching and helping people on a journey. And that could be anyone doing anything. It doesn't need to be professional or academic or personal. It could be a mix. Everyone's different, and that's the beauty of it. It's unique. It's applicable to many things. But, you know, I'm really hoping that the viewers find this really helpful tonight.
Excellent. And we wanted to invite you along again as the consultant in around wellbeing, mentoring, and as you said, goal setting, which we'll cover off as well. We'll kick off. I'm going to ask you the first kind of question just to set the scene. And apologies, there's a bit of an echo. I'm just going to turn my volume down. So, what are you finding? What are you finding are the biggest challenges at the moment, especially with a lot of people working from home? Obviously, last week we covered homeschooling and that kind of thing. So today we want to focus more on kind of the general well-being, like the mental well-being, and how people can, I suppose, stay positive and look forward through what we're going through. So, what are you finding are the biggest challenges at the moment with all of that?
So there's a few common things that are coming across, myself included. So I'm really missing being in the office, to be honest with you. The routine disruption, I think, has been the hardest thing for a lot of people. So a lot of people, if you think about your routine, you'd wake up, you'd have your shower, you'd get ready for work, you'd leave, you'd have that hour to get to work, to wind yourself up for work, do your work, and then on your way home, you'd have that hour to decompress on your way home. So the routine, definitely something I'm really missing. And it's one of the key things that I'm seeing across the board when I speak to people. The other thing is working from home guilt. I think is really common, and it's a bizarre concept, but it's very true. Whereas people feel they have to be at their computer for longer, they have to show that they're online or answer emails at all sorts of times just to show that they're working, even though they've worked their hours and more at home because they're not commuting. So I know my personal work day starts at 7 a.m. So I've already done 2 hours work by the time I'd have got in the office most days, and then I finish later on in the evening. So it's one of two of the really key things that are coming out of it. Balancing childcare needs as well. I've had a lot of people balancing the childcare needs, not educating alone, but just having time with their kids because they're so focused on trying to get the work done, and they get frustrated when they can't get the work done, so working later. But I mean, the other thing that kind of comes out in the trend is getting too comfortable. So you get too comfortable, and by this what I mean is that you used to get up, you used to get dressed in like a suit or a pair of trousers and a shirt or whatever. You'd go to work, you know you're going to work. And now, after the first lockdown, what I'm seeing on my calls and my people is that a lot of them are just getting up, wearing jogger bottoms and so on, and you get comfortable, and as a result, you're less productive, which means you have to work longer, so you get more tired. So they're the common themes I'm seeing. But honestly, the best way that I've seen that people are combating things, if I take them one by one, set yourself a routine. And this is something that I do. So I wake up early enough, I go for a run or do a home exercise, whatever. I look like a Wally jumping around in my living room. My neighbors love it. It's hilarious. And then I get changed, I have a shower, get changed, and then I get dressed in clothes for work. So whether it's a shirt and a pair of trousers or a jeans, or whatever it is, but it's slightly different to what I'd wear on the weekends, to try and separate those things, to try and set me up for the day. And there's a real thing about that hour before helps me wind myself up for work. And then after work, what I'll do is I'll sit and I'll read, or I'll sit and I'll, I don't know, browse the internet for an hour just before finishing work, just to decompress, to get into home mode, as I call it. And my wife absolutely finds it hilarious that I sit on my phone for an hour after being on a laptop all day. She appreciates it. But it's my way of dealing with things and so on. With a position where you've had lots of things taken away from you, such as you can't go to the gym because they're not open for safety reasons, and you can't mix with your friends and interacting with people. As I said, like personally, I miss not being in the office a lot because I was a very social butterfly. I'd go out with my colleagues every week. We'd go for lunch.
Grab the coffees in between meetings.
Exactly. Coffee
going home.
Exactly. Maybe go grab your favorite bit of sushi from the local sushi bar, whatever your favorite sandwich, things you can't get easily in the moment. And the way I found is I've changed my routine slightly, and a lot of people have started to do this, especially the ones I'm working with, and it seems to be working. So yes, okay, so my lunch is pretty set every day. I think I've pretty much got 2 or 3 things I eat for lunch. However, once a week I'll order out. I'll order a Subway or order whatever takeaway maybe for lunch. Why? Because it breaks up. Because I would have had something like that in London. I do the exercise, as I said, in the morning. It breaks up the time. I do the rest. I make sure I dress for work. And at the end of the day, so a lot of us are working from home without proper equipment. So you've got a laptop and you're working on a dining table, for instance. Like I'm working on my dining table at the moment. So you could, for those that can see behind me, this is our dining room. So what I do is I close my laptop down. I put my second screen down because I have a portable second screen, so I know I'm done for the day. Those things have really, really helped me. And what I've done is I've set myself little goals for the day. So I want to do minimum steps. So my minimum steps are 12,000 steps a day. Somehow in the house and walking out and walking around the block, I need to get to 12,000 steps. It's a little goal. It's not massive, but I know I'm moving. And this could be anything. And I say this to my mentees and to my people that I work with. It could be making the bed. Like it doesn't need to be big for everyone. It needs to be relevant to you and where you are. You shouldn't compare what you're doing with someone else. It's very, very unproductive and deconstructive if you try and compare yourself. Like I've got a neighbor that can run a 5K in 23 minutes. I am not going to get it. If I start comparing myself with him, I'll permanently be depressed. So
yeah. So I just want to touch on something you said about that whole that guilt, that working from home guilt. And a lot of people, they're working from home now, and it's that if I make it, it's that kind of conscious or subconscious feeling that if I take a break in between my meetings to go and make a coffee or to grab a quick bite to eat or whatever, not lunchtime, just a bit peckish, want to grab a little something, and it's that subconscious feeling that, oh, well, I've spent 5-10 minutes away from my laptop. I should make it up by staying another 10-15 minutes afterwards. But the reality is, actually, in the office or at work, you would have those breaks. You would go either to the office canteen or to the kettle, or down the road to Starbucks or Costa and get your coffee, which would potentially could take you half an hour. So you get a good half an hour away from your desk. And again, it's kind of the physical and mental well-being come together with the whole. Every hour you should take a good 10-15 minute break away from the laptop anyway. So whether that's walking downstairs to make a coffee, if you're working from your dining room, walk into the kitchen and make a coffee and just take that 10-15 minutes away from working from home, working from the laptop. And I think it's really important, like I say, you touched on that point, that we shouldn't feel that we've got to punish ourselves by working later or starting earlier because you know, we feel that, oh, yesterday I had 5 cups of coffee, so I slacked from working, and so I've got to start an hour earlier today. But just before we sort of, I guess, move on to the next point, I mean, obviously, Sam doesn't, you know, have a day job, but she works from home, so to speak. So how are you finding and coping with kind of being at home and having a husband that works from home and kids obviously now at home? How are you kind of doing to keep yourself mentally active and well?
Well, I mean, I touched base on it a little bit earlier about trying new things, but I have to have a clear, clear space. And if I've got a clear space, then 9 times out of 10, I can rest and relax and stuff like that. But obviously with a husband and 3 children, that literally you tidy one room and then 5 minutes later, it's like, well, 3's gone off. I've just kind of adapted to the fact that this is this time and this is the situation we're in, and I try and do little and often. So like Foddy said, making the bed, I mean, that is one of my pet hates. I have to make the bed in the morning. It's just an obsession. I've had it for a long time. But even with that, if I don't do it, I just think, okay, I'll get to it. It's kind of like a bit like a checklist where you kind of subconsciously know what you want to do and achieve in that day. And if I don't achieve them, I don't punish myself at the present time. Normally, I guess I probably would, and I'd be a bit more, oh no, he's going to come home from work and it's going to be a mess, and oh, the kids haven't done this or the kids haven't done that. But I've tried to adapt my mindset that actually this is the way we're living right now. So, you know, certain things, they will always get done, but just in my own time rather than put a set goal on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. Sorry, Sam, that's absolutely right. You shouldn't punish yourself if you haven't quite done something that you said you would in the day, because stuff happens, right? Stuff happens. So you set out with all good intentions, but the key thing, and this is one of the things that we have at Athena, is that keep focused. Obviously, you haven't done something today. You will get to it, but have that and have that in there, and then therefore, or have the task in mind that you need to do, and then you can do it the following day. There's no rush in doing stuff, and you should reward yourself when you succeed. You shouldn't punish yourself, because these are unprecedented times, not to use an overused phrase used in the media at the moment, but it is unprecedented. Like, we've been at home for the best part of a year. You're at home, you're within the same 4 walls, so to say. And it's tough. It's tough because you're living with your family. You don't have that separation time that you would. So you do end up there. And for your mental well-being, it could be, and coming back to what George said about that guilt of not working, of what you call working from home guilt, as I call it, you shouldn't. Because if you're in the office, as you said, you take half hour to go out, and you'd go out and you'd grab your coffee and you'd come back, and then it'd be all normal afterwards, and you would leave at a certain time and come home. So those things, as long as you're productive and you're doing your work, don't beat yourself up over the fact you had an extra half-hour break. Just so because you had an extra 20 minutes, because you've done your work and you spent it with your kids, you shouldn't feel guilty. You've done your job. If you're doing your job and you're getting your task done, you need to stop looking at it as a negative. In fact, you should find a way of doing it more often, and so much that therefore you get a bit more time, and then you could do something towards your goals that you want to achieve.
Well, I'm kind of guilty of the fact that he will overwork, because obviously he's doing his work from home, and like he said, he feels a bit guilty, so he does a bit longer. And then I'll be screaming and saying, hello, I'm here, can you help me? Like, where normally he would be on a train coming home, he'll phone me and he'll say, how's your day? We sort of vent it out and say, yeah, our days have been like this. And then he'll come home and we both work together to sort of do the kid routine. But where we're both at home, like, sometimes I'm a bit hard on you, really, so you don't get your time either. So I think it's also about finding the balance that works in your whole household, not just about...
Exactly. No, that's it.
So Andrea says, just shut the door, Sam, and don't look. I think she's referring to the, about
I've done that a lot.
Doing the bed in the morning. And welcome to Barbara as well. So a little bit quiet on the comments tonight. So I'm going to pose a question out to our listeners as well that are listening. You know, how are you all coping with, with your well-being as it is at the moment? I think there's something that I also do that, again, kind of makes working from home a little bit more normal, and that is, I might be upstairs working and Sam will be downstairs either homeschooling the kids or just tidying and cleaning and doing what he's doing. But then I'll be upstairs, and just like I would do if I was at the office, I might text her and say, hi beautiful, miss you, or just one of those random texts that you send your wife or your husband or wife from the office, just a nice little perk and pick me up. And when I first started doing it, she'd shout upstairs, why are you texting me? I'm downstairs. And I was like, yeah, I know, but it's kind of me doing something for myself that I would do normally from the office. I would text you either in between meetings, or I'm not going to phone her upstairs, but just your little message. And that kind of, the idea is that it puts a little smile on her face while she's downstairs just tidying, thinking I'm on a work call, or while I'm working hard, and just another way of just saying, thinking of you, even though I'm upstairs and you're downstairs, kind of thing. And it'd be interesting to know what some of the listeners are also doing to combat some of those things that we're talking about. And again, as we've got on the screen, if you've got any questions for Foddy, we're going to talk about goal setting as well and how we combat some of the challenges. But before we do, there's another one here that from Andrea says, motherhood is harder than any work time, especially with schooling, cooking, cleaning, and finding any me time. And I think, we did speak about this last week, and Andrea was our guest last week. It's really important, that last bit,
The me time.
Me time is really important. It's really important finding that me time, whether it be first thing in the morning, if you're a morning bird and you like to get up early like Foddy does and go for a run or go for a walk, or whatever it is you might do. It might be an exercise video you can watch online, or whatever it is you like to do. Could be having a coffee in bed before you actually get up to face the day. It's really important finding that me time. It might not be first in the morning, you might be an evening bird, in which case it's having that time after either you put the kids to bed. If you haven't got kids, it's just finding that time for downtime after work and closing up the laptop and the phone and just having a bit of time for yourself. Again, whether that's exercise, and we'll talk about physical well-being later on, interaction with friends, having that phone call or FaceTime call with family and friends, just something. For you, for somebody else, it might not be me time, it might be me alone. I don't want to speak to anyone. I don't want to talk to someone and be FaceTime. I just want to be on my own. I want to watch TV, or I want to go in the gym, or I want to do some sit-ups, or whatever it might be. So it's finding that. For me, it's that me time is really important. Obviously, for couples, finding time together as well, that's really important.
That's what I meant when I said, like, I'm sitting there thinking, oh, well, he's just been upstairs on the computer locked away doing his work. But I've been dealing with cooking, cleaning, housework, kids, homeschooling, all of it. And then he comes down and then I kind of take it out on him. But actually, he's been working just as hard as I have, but just in a different role. And
Can I get that right?
Had he been in the office, I'm sure I probably would have reacted in certain ways, but because we're at home and the tensions are high, I guess sometimes we forget that actually, this morning I went out for a walk. I was out for 20 minutes or so. I walked to the shop and back. And when I came back, I was like, right, I'm on it. Let's go. And I did hours of homeschooling. Yesterday, I didn't manage to do any because I needed to clean the house because I need a clear space to work in. As you can see, the building mess is stressful. But that helped me perk up today. So maybe that's something that I should introduce to myself. Go out, go walk around the block if you have to, maybe that's what I need to do. But it's hard knowing, and like you said, for these small achievements, and it could be just as little as making the bed and you've done something. So
yeah, definitely.
Just one thing, just like the importance of downtime and the importance of switching off shouldn't be underestimated. One of my guys that I work with made this point, and is very, very true. The importance of your mind being able to switch off and you being able to just relax, it avoids burnout. I've spoken to a few people, and quite a few people are on the verge of burning out because you think how intense the last year's been, and they've got all of the work going on, and they're goal driven. They're really trying to get something. You just need to tell them, look, just chill a bit, just give yourself some time, do what you need to do, and it will come. If it's a few months later, it doesn't matter. It's not life or death. Like, put it into perspective of where you are in your life. Obviously, if you've got an exam coming up and you're cramming for an exam, slightly different situation to if you want to learn to speak French in a year. You don't need to drive yourself into the ground to learn French in a month. It's very different, very, very different.
Of course. So in terms of that, so kind of touching on, what, you work with your mentees, and, sure they've been having conversation with you about, their mental well-being and how they're coping, with lockdown and everything else. Obviously, given what you do, what sort of things, do you suggest to your mentees around, how to combat that? So again, I suppose touching on goals and setting goals. So if you want to explain a little bit about that, and how setting goals can help with your mental well-being.
So it's about being structured, and humans like structure. Humans like routine. We are creatures of habit. The majority of us, anyway. I won't say everyone because it'd be impossible. But the majority of us like our routine, like our habits, and we like structure. We don't like our foundation moving. So whoever's worked in any professional job or professional services job, or anywhere that they have this, you will have SMART objectives. And SMART objectives is an acronym. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time measured. Now, all that means is any goal that you set yourself in the year, A, you can do it, by when you need to do it, and you know how you're going to measure yourself against it. It's not that complicated. But bringing that into your everyday life can be really helpful for your mental well-being, because if you visualize a goal, for instance, okay, and you say, and an example would be, Sam, just one that you said a little while ago, that your goal is for the next month that every day or every weekday you're going to go for a walk before you start the homeschooling, and you're going to walk 20 minutes and then you're going to come home. So if you think about that in a nutshell, what you have is you have a specific objective, which is you going walking. It's measurable. Did you go walking? Yes or no? It's a yes or no answer. It's achievable because it's 20 minutes, it's near your house. There's nothing restricting you externally to do it. You can do it. It's realistic because you're not saying you're going to walk 50 miles in 20 minutes. You're going around the block. And it's time measured. It's within a month. That's what SMART stands for. It's about it being relevant. With regards to the way we do things at Athena, we break the objectives up into 5 key categories. We've got personal development, professional, skills, financial, and physical. So with regards to the mental well-being part, personal development is about focusing on what you need to do for you, whether that be meditation, whether that be relaxation, whether that be you gardening, reading. It's about you developing your mind in a way that makes you feel happy. And you apply the SMART principles to this. The way that we look at things is ever so slightly different as well, because what we say at Athena is that if you were to look at the objectives from a slightly different way and you were to visualize your success, then you can work your way backwards as to how you would do it. So one of the things may be that, and this comes into own like with children, with anyone. So say you've got a child that plays football and the child wants to be able to score from inside the box. So you know that their goal is that they want to be able to be really prolific at football inside the box and score loads of goals. So you work backwards and say, right, what we're going to do is we're going to start really close to the goal and you're going to finish very close, and you work your way backwards, right? And then you say to them, right, if you want to get really good, you need to do this 2 or 3 times a week. And then you'd say to them, during this time, we're going to see how well you're doing each week, each 2 weeks, each month. And then how are you going to get there? What's the progress you're making, and video them and they can see what they're doing. And then if they communicate that with someone, then like with yourselves, or if you've got that little bit of accountability put on yourselves. And accountability is not a great word for a kid, but it comes there. That accountability is that I want to do it for me. I want to do it for me. I want to be really good. And then use it in every aspect of your life. So you will look at how people play football better. And then this can go to anything. I mean, another example is cooking, right? One of the things is that I would love to be able to make a, what's the big puffy thing that you put in the oven and it grows up, the big kind of muffin thing with egg, the French one, souffle. Yeah. I want to be able to make it, okay? Now, they are,
I was what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's like souffle. Like I can bake, but I cannot make souffle. Now I know that I can look at a recipe for souffle. So my goal is that by the end of this month, I'm going to be able to put a souffle in the oven and do it successfully and not get some flat pancake-looking thing. A sweet chocolate one for the record. So I know what I need to do. I've checked the ingredients, so I work backwards from that. I know what I need to do, so I'm sitting there researching how people are doing it, making sure there's a water tray in there so that it goes up and it's fluffy, and set myself a deadline. I've told Irini, my wife, that I want to do it. And as a result of that, there is a bit of pressure to make sure that comes out nice. And then I use that in every aspect of every day of my life. So I use it as an aspect. So looking at the way that you set it is, I know that I need to do this. I know the time's coming up. I'm making sure I've got all the ingredients in place. I need to do 2 or 3 trial runs before that. And I'm making all my notes. All of these things come to successful objective setting. Why this is important for your mental health? Because we as humans, we thrive off positive energy. We're proud when we achieve something. Now, my goals may be totally irrelevant to others, right? But it can be, again, I repeat, can be as simple as eating lunch with your kids every day. You can make the time and you sit there and you time your day and you make sure you put that half hour in your diary that you're going to spend with your kids, your partner, your family, whoever it is, your mum, your dad, and you have lunch with them. What it could also be, it could be that you're going to teach your kids how to paint, or you could teach yourself how to paint, or you could be reading a book and your goal may be to read 2 books a month. It could be anything. But when you get there, the trick is to put reasonable but slightly stretched objectives in place, because there's no point doing something that's easy, like I'm going to click a pen. Great, okay, I can do that. If it's going to be something worth getting, it needs to be a little bit of a stretch. But don't put it so much so that it's a disincentive for you not to get there and you get really upset. And Andrew's exactly right. It's about little steps that are achievable. She's hit the nail on the head. Little steps that are achievable, and they give you good feelings. That, Sam, you said when you do the bed, you feel better after doing the bed, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course. And I love going in my room and it looking all tidy and nice and pretty. But I don't know about anyone else, but sometimes I find that, oh, well, it's the same day and we're not going anywhere. No one's coming round. Oh, well, what's the point? And I get into myself, sometimes I get into the bad habit of, well, it's still going to be there tomorrow. And instead of thinking, actually, this makes you feel better when you've done all the washing, or like the amount of times my husband will tell you and agree with me that I say, yay, I've done all the washing. And 5 minutes later, I walk upstairs, my kids have emptied their rooms and the washing basket's full again, which is normal day-to-day life. But I think for me, it's more of a case of, well, what do I do? I mean, yes, I've got to homeschool. Yes, I've got to cook. Yes, I've got to clean. Yes, I've got to look after my husband. But where do I start? And I think sometimes that's my biggest challenge, is getting going during the day. If I had that get go, then maybe I would achieve a lot more throughout the day.
Yeah. Do you feel by having a routine, though, that may help? And by keeping that, so yes, it's keeping focus to it. And it is conditioning to an extent of the mind, saying, right, I know that at this time I'm going to be doing this, that, the other. And by that way, you just tick off a list. And believe me, when you go shopping, you tick off your shopping list. I feel brilliant because you found everything.
Oh, I always forget something. So yeah, I can have a list of something. That's me. But you know,
you forgot to write it on the list.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously I do. And yes, having little goals and little achievements. Like I said, I mean, even yesterday we didn't achieve much, considering we've got building stuff everywhere, but what we did achieve, I was really happy. And then today I was a lot more energetic, I would say, towards everything than I was yesterday.
And I think I've got a question that I'm going to come to in a second, but I think a lot of it starts from changing that mindset. So personally, last year, you know, obviously, like I say, we've been in lockdown pretty much since March last year. So it's coming up to a year that we've all been working from home and restricted with where we can go. And at the start of, I suppose, lockdown 1, I said, right, do you know what? I'm going to be at home. I started just like everybody else. I'm going to get fit. I'm going to go for, you know, we go for a walk for each day, or I'm going to get fit. I'm at home now, so I haven't got to travel to work. So I can use that time to do some exercise at home, this, that, whatever. 1 week, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months went by, and I found myself getting to a bit of a lull, whereby we started out with all good intentions, going for walks, but then we stopped. And as much as we had the nice weather, so I was playing a bit of football in the garden with the kids and whatever else. But then I wasn't motivated in myself to get up and do the exercise, actually watch what I was eating. So I kind of let myself slip last year. And I've changed my mindset completely this year. So again, for the regulars that will know, from listening to Sooty FM and watching the party shows on Fridays, that, was it September? I went a month without any chocolate, or October, I went a whole month without eating any chocolate. And I trimmed down a little bit, felt really good about myself, kind of gave myself that sort of self boost. And then it was, right, get fit for Christmas. Well, that completely went down the drain because I didn't get fit for Christmas. So I went straight back into my sort of lazy habits. Was eating a lot of chocolate, making up for all the chocolate I didn't eat, I suppose. And so this year, I've decided to change my whole mindset. And I think it's setting, like I say, setting a goal, whether you use a smarter objective, or whether you, I suppose, use willpower to say, right, you know what, I've tried this before and it didn't work, or actually I'm really hell-bent on making this happen. And this year I am really hell-bent on getting fit, losing my agility, losing my belly, and making sure I look and feel healthy, for myself, within myself, obviously for my wife, my family, and my well-being, my overall well-being, my mental and my physical. The physical will be obvious in terms of the weight loss and looking and feeling stronger. But the mental aspect that goes into as well, of I feel good within myself mentally because I feel good physically. And I think it's that change of mindset that sometimes it's easy to get into a rut, or easy to get into a routine. And when I say routine, I mean maybe a lazy routine or a negative routine. And like you said, going back to what we said about earlier about that guilt of working from home, it's about what can I do to change that? And rather than feel guilty about taking a break, actually scheduling my break as part of my working day. So I'm going to schedule my 10-minute coffee break at this time, and I'm going to schedule an hour, if you can, depending on your job, to do whether the exercise and go for a walk on your own, or with your family, your kids, whatever, or even just spend some time, whether it's homeschooling or just having some me time. It's about making that part of your day, rather than feeling guilty that, I'm taking time out, or you could do this stuff outside of work if your work is that demanding and you can't do it during, say, the working hours. It's really important to kind of have that mindset that I'm going to do this, I want to do this. But like you say, ultimately, it's having that goal as to why do you want to do this? Because if you're just doing it because, I don't know, it's the in trend, or I'm bored in lockdown, so I'm going to try this, it probably won't work. Whereas actually, if you've got a specific goal in mind, i.e., I want to lose some weight, or you want to get fitter, or you want to learn a new language, or whatever it might be, then that's exactly what it's all about. But
I think also, though, it's hard because, thankfully, George's bosses are great and they allow that to happen, so he can have his set breaks and stuff. But some jobs that no names mentioned, but I know a lot of people that are still working at like 10 o'clock at night when I'm calling them, and I'm like, hello, what are you doing? And they're like, my boss needs this, and they gave it to me at whatever time and I have to do it. And I'm like, but if the circumstances were normal, would that happen? And they say no. But that's the other thing, is that there's a lot of pressure on companies. So then they're putting the pressure on the staff, and then the staff are like burning themselves out to do it all. I just think, where can we all help and find the balance to make everyone happy? Because obviously you don't want to lose your job, so you do stay till 10 o'clock at night, but you also need that for yourself, your downtime and stuff.
The two things just on what you said, so the getting fit point, if you break that down into smaller objectives, i.e. I'm going to run once a week, and then I'm going to, I don't know, do boxing once a week, whatever. I'm no PT expert, but my point is, if you break down any goal into achievable little chunks, even if you slip on one or two of them, you've got the others, so you don't get into the lull that you explained. So that, for me, is the way that objective should be set. And so I think I've spoken to you quite late when I've been working still on things recently.
We're talking about working now.
I know. Where's my
exactly that. But the thing is, right, is that's why every objective is relative. Now, it's relative to your situation and it's relative to your work. And that's why no two objectives should be the same. Humans aren't the same by nature of DNA. We're different, we're in different situations. And it's about having those little pick-me-ups. Now, not everyone will be able to go for a run, or not everyone will be able to spend time with their kids in the afternoon, or someone may not be able to learn something because of the time, but they may be able to read an article or a blog, or listen to a show like yours, which has helped a load of people, myself included, over lockdown. So thank you for that. But things like that, really, little things that you make for you are relative, and they make a big, big difference. So it is a relative.
Definitely. So I'm going to move on to another question, just conscious of time, because we've got our second guest due around about 8 o'clock. So to start talking about the physical side of things. So, oops, it moved. There we go. So Kai is asking, any advice to keep young children happy during these times? So no secret, Kai is our teenager. He's in the house over there, but watching in and listening in, and this is exactly what we want. So this show's for all ages. It's not just for parents or adults or whatever. So obviously you work, I'm guessing, predominantly with obviously the adults in the mentoring and with Athena Consultancy. But any advice for young children to help them keep happy during these times?
So a lot of people are anti-video games. Okay, a lot of people are anti-video games, depending on the nature of the video game. So i.e. if it's...
I don't know anyone. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I don't know anyone, yeah. So a lot of people are anti-video games. So if you're playing things like Fortnite or GTA, obviously they're inappropriate for younger children. But if you identify a passion for kids, or if they identify a passion, i.e. if they like driving, okay, if they like playing GTA and they like getting in the car and driving around, trying to find them once things are open, a go-karting thing would have been great, but you can't do that right now because obviously it's all closed. But having a manual pedal go-kart may be a way of doing it, or exploring what they're interested in. So having a chat with them and saying, what do you enjoy about the game? I.e. if it's the shooting, which a lot of kids like, get them a bow and arrow and try and teach them a skill like archery in the garden, because it won't go everywhere. If it hits a window, it's not going to crack a window. It's not ridiculous, right? Other things you can do with the children is let them learn about something about it. So for instance, for cars, if someone's really into cars, get them a book about, or let them watch YouTube and give them videos about how Mercedes-Benz became Mercedes-Benz, or how Lewis Hamilton got to being Lewis Hamilton. Give them something to aspire to and a bit of knowledge, because that really helps just plant the seed of inspiration in children. With children, when I was working in the special educational needs, it's a slightly different environment. Children like that do not like change. They do not like change. And there was one of the children I remember. It was called Reese. He was very, very much a painter, and that was it. He didn't like learning. He didn't like maths. He didn't like English. He was painting and art, and that was it. And that was fine. But we gave him a book about Picasso because he liked really wacky paintings. And he read about Picasso. And then we arranged a trip for him to go to the Louvre in Paris, and he went and saw that artwork by Picasso there. And then there was one in the Tate Modern. We sent him there. And it was something so simple as actually asking, well, what do you like about it? Oh, I like how it's wrong way round. And it was something so simple. Actually, keeping children happy is very difficult. To be honest, each child has got so many different influences at the moment, whether it be social media, whether it be football or sports, or whether it be television or video games. Understanding what you have a passion for and actually feeding that in these times is difficult because of the limitations. Now, if it's boxing, get a boxing bag, let them box. Show them videos of Lennox Lewis or Mike Tyson when they were training. There are loads of them on YouTube. You look at the way that Muhammad Ali used to shadow box, and you go, right, okay, aim for that. And if you can get even 1/10 to that, you're going to be better than most people in everyday life.
Yeah.
Give them that goal, and you sit down with them and you say, okay, well, how are you going to do that? Well, we're going to put some boxing sessions in here, some speed boxing. We're going to work on your fitness, on your cardio. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. All of these things then build out from something so little into this much stuff to do. Yeah. And with the video games are great for hand-eye coordination. This is why I say a lot of people are anti-video games, but a lot of the people that fly drones, a lot of the people that fly drones for like the government and stuff, they're people with great hand-eye coordination.
Yeah,
they've got that through the use of video games. But for me, computing is a real thing that kids can get into at home. Computing and computer engineering and programming. ask for a Raspberry Pi and code it. And you can code it to even be a PlayStation 2 off the back of it perfectly legally. It's amazing. Learning about something like that that's going to help them in the future will definitely be something he'll really enjoy and actually use in the future.
Yeah. And I think just to add to that, it's, keeping young children happy during these times. It is, we've all got work to do, whether it's a day job, whether it's school, we've all got somewhere that we would be normally, during the day. If we weren't in lockdown, the kids would be at school, secondary school or college or whatever. And so it's, again, for the kids, I think it's just as important as, breaking up the day. So, okay, you're homeschooling at certain times, taking your breaks in between, doing whatever you can, not beating yourself up, not having that kind of guilt. But then, like I say, the downtime and having the me time and doing what it is you enjoy. And, we mentioned it before on the shows, we have set days where the kids can play computers. Like I say, we don't deprive them all week. They can play on the computers. That's their thing for those days. And then on other days, like you say, it's about helping them use their mind, because at their ages, it's about exploring, right? Exploring what skills they've got, what skills they might want to develop. Like you say, they like computer games about shooting and stuff. Well, actually, a bow and arrow or a BB gun, and you can practice real life, hand-eye coordination in the garden or what have you. And I think it's really important just breaking it up with, I think it's also really important. I think sometimes maybe as adults, we don't feel to ask the kids, how was your day been? Even though you've been at home all day, how's your day been today? How have you got on today? How did you get on with school? Or, all those kinds of questions. So I think it's really important to ask those questions, just like you would with, your friends, your adult friends.
They're young adults. They're young adults. That's the thing. They're not children so much anymore, especially when they reach teenage years. They're young adults. And they've got their own thoughts and their own feelings and their own issues in their own life. And getting to know your child is obviously something as a parent you do. But
it's challenging. I mean, there's especially, Kai's put it out there. So for Kai, there's two little ones that, we're saying, oh, let them play on this or let them play on that. But he actually wants to play with his friends on a certain game. And if you don't have 100 Xboxes all over the house so that they can all play on one, it's really challenging. And I think, you're right. We need to sort of ask them, well, what do you want to do?
And that's the same with, not just playtime or computer games or whatever. It could be as simple as, what do you want to eat tomorrow? What do you want to eat for dinner tonight? And it's making sure that they're getting a little bit of what they want. So we did it last week where we, I just a random dinner table, and I just said to the kids, right, Crystal, what's your favourite dinner? What would you like as your favourite dinner? And Lindsay are the same, Kai the same, and they all gave us their favourite dinner, their evening meal. And over the course of the next few nights, we said, right, okay, tomorrow we're going to make this meal. The next day we make that meal. And the following, so they all got their favourite meal. They all obviously got to share because obviously they all ate the same thing. And we were the same. And it was just another way of just interacting as a family at kind of boring dinner time. We made it a bit more interesting. Just a couple more questions or comments around this stuff. And then we've got Chris who'll be joining us shortly as well. So this is from 92. So the deal says, this speaks to intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. Any goals you set to be set from within rather than an external motivator. I find the best way to achieve a goal is not to tell anyone what it is.
See, so I slightly disagree with the last comment because you don't have that pressure of accountability. Now, there's a thing of saying there's one big faux pas here, right? When you say you want to lose weight, there is a lot of social pressure on that, and that's the one thing I despise when, like, I think we've said it in the past, when you go to a relative and you arrive in Cyprus, go, oh, you've put weight on me. Great, thank you so much. Thank you. But what it will help you with is if you may find someone a friend of yours, if you say it, that may do it with you. So if you want to go running, a friend of you may want to go running. If you're learning French, they may want to learn French. And like even one of my mentees recently, similar to what you just said, they said that they want to spend more time with the kids at dinner time and so on and so on. They involve their kids with dinner. So the kids say, I want to do this. And they say to them, okay, help me cook the dinner. Yeah. And the kids are getting involved in that. So I think if you involve people, I believe personally, it's a personal view, 92 you'll maybe entirely right as well. If you tell people about it, in my opinion, I think you have a higher chance of success as long as you have people with a common mindset. If you tell someone that's not going to give you anything back, that doesn't care, you're not going to get anything from them.
And it could be confined in one person, whether it be your partner or your best friend, or like say somebody who's maybe trying to do the same thing. So, you know, don't disagree with the comment about, finding it a better way to not to, because obviously I told everyone I was going to get fit for Christmas, and every week I comments on the show, so you're not looking very fit. Oh, Sooty, you're bashing this. Oh, Sooty, you've done this. And actually this time, I've started this new year. Me and my brother are kind of trying as best we can to get fit at home, and we're kind of every day saying, did you do the session today? How are your results going? This, that. So just between the two of us, whereas I'm not making it public or my results public and this and that. So I've got one person, obviously other than Sam and the kids who've seen me doing the training, that I'm sharing it with. Obviously I know I'm sharing it now on the show, but I've got one person that I can kind of go to each day and say, did you do the session today? And it's having potentially maybe just one or two people rather than nobody. Because like you said, if you don't tell anyone, then there's no accountability. So if you don't do, I don't know, whether it's training or learning to cook or learning to a new language or whatever it might be, there's no one to then say, how are you getting on with your cooking, or how are you getting on with learning Spanish or whatever it is. You've got no one to then, do that, if that makes sense.
Or quiz you. And that's ultimately, I don't disagree. Look, people have different opinions. In my opinion, what I've seen that's worked with my mentees, because I work with 10 people in total, is that they come to me and they say, right, this is what I want to do. So every month or every other month, depending on what we do, they have a catch me. All right, how are these guys going? How are these things going? And they're like, oh, well, haven't done that. So, okay, why not? And you go into it. But I'm not saying tell the world. I'm saying have one or two people, and they could be totally irrelevant to what you're doing. But the fact that you are doing something and they're doing something, you can be a support network for each other in a really different way, but supporting each other nonetheless.
Yeah.
Well, like Sooty said, he's got his brother, but if he hadn't have told me, then I probably would have still been making him meals that weren't healthy and just quick or easy or whatever I'm doing. So now actually that he's told me I really want to do this and I really want to get fit, I'm now trying to think of new meals to make him, or we're eating clean. Yeah, we're eating clean, both of us. But I think if I don't eat it with him, then you'll lose your way, because I find, especially because Sooty will do 40 days fasting and I won't do it. I've done it once and I just won't do it now. I just can't do it. I can't give up my sweets. There's certain things that I don't like to give up. I've tried to support him, but actually eating every day, if we eat clean together, one, I will feel better in myself by eating those good meals with him, but two, it shows him actually, no, someone's here with you, someone's doing it with you. So I do believe that you should have some sort of support network around you.
One person. Andrea says, just on that, those comments, George, on your weight are awful. Like during the shows, you both look great and healthy, and you never stop moving. Very inspirational. Well, thank you, Andrea. And it's, I'm not doing any of this because of, I don't know, comments that I either said on the show or because of whatever. I'm doing this all for me. I said I was going to do it last year in 2020, and to be honest, I got lazy. So this year it's okay. Like I said, it's all about the well-being side of things, the physical and the mental and the mindset change of, no, I thought I was going to do it last year and I didn't. And I think a lot of that was because I didn't tell anyone, have anyone kind of asking me, how you getting on with the training, how you getting on with this, this goal, etc. I've got one more comment from Nick in Australia, who says, the challenge with lockdown and well-being is most of the goals set are short-term, waiting for lockdown to end. As the lockdown environment hasn't changed, and in some cases it got worse, people have struggled to accept the delay in the world returning to normality. It's a very good point. And I mean, Body, if you're conscious of time, it's sort of 5 to 8. We've got Chris joining us in about 5 or so minutes. Do you want to address Nick's comment there?
Yeah, the long-term outlook is hopeful of a return to normality. I mean, the vaccines coming in are brilliant news, and we're just waiting for obviously people to get vaccinated, and hopefully we can get over this. It's a once in a century kind of thing. The Spanish flu was the last major incident that we had like this, so it's scary, right? But the long-term goals, yes, they shouldn't really change what you're trying to do. So if your goal is to get fit, and that's a long-term goal, that shouldn't change. What I'm saying is you adapt you adapt your objective to be a short-term aim to get to that goal. So if your goal was to go to the gym 5 times a week at the start of 2021, if everything was okay, you can't do that right now. But what you can do is you can do press-ups in your garage, or you can work the punch bag, or you can run outside. If your goal was to go to an MBA, like my aspiration is I want to get my MBA, okay? I could do it remotely at the moment, but it's not the same experience. So I've decided, you know what, I'll put my place on hold for 6 months to 12 months and figure out what I'm going to do and whether I really want to do it, because it's quite an expensive qualification to go and do and not enjoy it. It makes sense. I think that Nick has a very valid point, is that every short-term goal, if you change from your main goal, it's bad. So what you should have is overarching beliefs and strategies where you want to get to. And if your overarching strategy, for instance, is get your kids more outdoors, right? You can't really do that at the moment. In the winter, it's cold, it's wet, it's horrible. So you try and find little ways of getting them outside, whether that's a walk in the park, whether it's a pavement, or take them to the playground or whatever. You try your best where it's safe to take them out. Whereas in the summer, when everything hopefully returns to normal, you'll be out in the park playing football. You'll be out to cross country in the park. You amend them. So I agree with what Nick's saying, actually, is that people's goals are short term. What I'm saying is your short term goals should link to your longer term goals. That's the way you avoid this issue of kind of 3 different or 2 different directions that you're heading in.
Yeah, and I think Nick's just said, it's about accepting you're not in control of the environment and adjusting your life around it. And I totally agree. And again, I suppose just to touch on that is that now is a very unique time in our lives, okay? We probably won't go through this again in our lifetime. Our children, fingers crossed, won't ever go through this. It'll be another 100 or so years before anything like this happens, fingers crossed. And again, it's kind of having that positive outlook of, okay, well, when am I ever going to get this much time to maybe do some of those small, what some people might call insignificant goals at a time when you're not going to be able to do it. So, for example, teaching the kids to ride their bikes. We use lockdown 1 to teach Christos to ride without stabilizing. Now, obviously that's a really simple goal. That has nothing to do with lockdown, but actually just the fact that I was at home and not having to go to the office, and I could take my breaks, take a quick 20-minute, half an hour lunch break, but I'd use that lunch break to maybe go out at the front when it was a nice day in May to get him to ride his bike. Those are the little things that actually it's seeing, okay, well, I'm stuck at home. I can't go anywhere. What can I do with my time? What can I do? What goals do I want to do? Whether it be learning to play an instrument or learn a new language. Cooking is a perfect one. People maybe might want to learn to cook new dishes or try something different or try a different type of food. You learn to cook, I don't know, Indian food or Thai food or whatever it might be. Now is the perfect time because you're at home so much that so I agree with what you're saying about having a long-term overall goal, but in some instances it might be that you just got lots of little goals that you've never really had the time to get around to do, but actually now we're all finding we've got so much more time because we're at home and we can't go anywhere. And it's about what's important to you, which goals are important to you. And we've got another one from Angie says, I don't think the goals are actually are the actual point. I think it's the strategies in dealing with the day-to-day stresses, whether it be work or home. These will always be around, all about how you approach things. And again, just conscious of time, it's very much about having that positive attitude. And I know obviously we can talk a lot about, how do you be positive and everything else. And I think a lot of the stuff we've spoken about is there to talk, if you have a goal, it gives you something to aim for, and it gives you something to be positive as you make those micro steps and small steps and big steps towards that goal. So I think it's tying it all in.
Like you just said, it's micromanaging your feelings as well. So you're not going to achieve something if you feel rubbish. You're just not. It's not going to happen. You've got to make sure that your well-being in yourself is good. So you set the little task, like I've made the bed today, I've got this, I've got that, and then slowly you can build them up to, okay, I want to run 5K, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. If you start small, then you will achieve the big things. But you have to, the way I do it personally, in my head, I have all these little baskets, and in those baskets I have different things. So the kids are stressing me out in one basket, my husband is driving me insane, he needs to go back to football in another basket, and then slowly I get to each basket, even if it's one thing out of each basket each day, and then I will get there to the bigger picture. So I do believe it's about micromanaging yourself and your feelings as well.
That's it. So just one more thing I've got on the screen from Lisa. Says, my goal is to make sure every child who is struggling at school is to get the best help and support they truly deserve. So I'm not quite sure in which context whether you mean, if you're going to help every child out there, it might be quite difficult, or, I don't know if you work in a school or if you work with children. And if that's the case, then again, that's your goal. Every day, every week, it's having that, what good have I done today? Or how have I made an impact, a positive impact today? And I think we can carry a lot of this over as we kind of speak to our next guest as well, Chris. So is there anything else you'd like to kind of say? Obviously, guys and girls, before we let Foddy go, if you'd like more information, or if you'd like to reach out to him, maybe you've not felt comfortable to air your questions or concerns on the live tonight, Athena Consulting, you can find the links in the description in both Facebook and the YouTube channel. Please give him a like and a follow. Please reach out to him. But Foddy, is there anything you'd like to say as a closing?
Just thank you, and obviously I know everyone's having a tough time of some sort, and just keep going. Hopefully we can see the light now at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully in 6 months this will all be a very distant memory.
We hope so.
That's
well,
it.
Thank you for coming on, Foddy, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Thank you.
Take care.
Take care, mate. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so with that, hang on a second. Hang on a second. There we go. Right. So with that, it's time to introduce our second guest for the evening. We're going to introduce Chris from Tailor Fitness. He's a personal trainer. Chris, welcome to the show.
You're meant to give me a bit more pre-warning for this one, because you're going to tell me off.
Thank you, Mr. Sooty. How are you?
We're doing all right, actually. We're doing okay. We've had an okay start to the year in terms of well-being and what we're talking about. So for our listeners, obviously, who are listening and maybe don't know who you are, do you want to give a quick little intro as to who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Chris. I'm owner and personal trainer, Tailor Fitness. What I generally tend to do is I actually go to people's houses to train them. For people who don't like going to the gym, who haven't got the confidence to go to the gym, who prefer, or who haven't, businessmen, women who haven't got the time. So we train them indoors or outside. Well, now it's outside or online. And then they get on with their day rather than waste their time going to the gym or anything like that. So that's pretty much what I do all day, every day, 7 days a week.
And obviously we're talking about the physical and the mental. Obviously we had Foddy just now talking about the mental side of things. A lot of it kind of crosses over, the physical and the mental. How do you kind of, I suppose, explain to your clients that either reach out to you, especially if they reach out to you initially and are maybe a little bit apprehensive about starting training, or worried, or maybe don't have the motivation? They want to start, but they always find themselves saying, oh yeah, I'm going to start, but don't. How do you find that?
Well, I mean, a lot of people are in the same bracket. They want to start, they may give you a call. I mean, the first step is picking up that phone or emailing me or a trainer. And usually, hi Angie. Usually what I'd say is, whenever I meet a client, you got to have three things. You got to be patient, because nothing's going to happen overnight. You got to be dedicated, because, if you're dedicated, then you're going to see results, but it's going to take time. And you got to be realistic in the sense of, unfortunately, we're not celebrities. We don't have all the money in the world, and we can't just train every day, have all the nutritionists that we want. So be realistic in what we want. But if we're dedicated, we're patient, and we don't get frustrated, because there's times we're going to be frustrated, things come up and down. You're doing really well, then unfortunately your child gets sick, you can't train. You're doing really well, but you're going on holiday and you want to just have a little splurge out on food and drink, and that's okay too. So it's just what it is, really. And I just say, just be patient and just be dedicated, and you'll be okay. But be consistent. Everything's about consistency, no matter what we do. If we're consistent with it and we do more things right than wrong, then we're going to get to where you want to get to, really.
Yeah, that's it. And I think it's So for me, I've spoken about it quite a lot tonight. You know, I've set myself this kind of challenge, or you know, just the personal goal of wanting to get a little bit fitter, healthier. You know, look better, feel better. You know, and it's kind of a bit of both. And obviously, Dee asks here as well, you know, what else can you do other than going for a walk? You know,
she's also self-isolating at the moment. She said earlier that she's self-isolated and she can't get out of the house. So what can she do? And is it safe for her maybe to say have someone like yourself go and sort of spur her on, like obviously from a distance? I don't know, how does it work when they're
unfortunately, under the government guidelines, we can't actually go into anyone's house or garden. So we can do it over Skype. So it's something you could either, maybe a trainer like myself, we have a little Skype, even if it's just a conversation, you know, just talking about how we can get you moving or what you can do to get you moving. I mean, if you've got stairs, you can walk up and down your stairs, run up and down your stairs, do that 10 times and you soon be out of breath rather than just walk, you know, if you're self-isolating. I mean, there's so many. I mean, I've got on my YouTube channels very short 10-minute workout videos, you know, multiple of them where you can just quickly do them. So if you only want to do one round and it takes 10 minutes, brilliant. Choose another video for 10 minutes. So it gives you diversity. There's loads of, you know, on Instagram or YouTube, loads of trainers and PTs doing live workouts that you can do and just follow. Find one you like, because let's be honest, not all of them are good. But if you can relate to one and you think that they're going to be really good for you, then that's what I recommend, really.
Yeah, and it's like I say, it's finding that trainer, whether it's YouTube. Obviously, again, I highly recommend. I've used Chris as a personal trainer, and I highly recommend him. And he definitely, you know, pushed me to my limits when we train together. And every now and again, even though we don't, you know, obviously I now live in Derby, so it's a bit of a distance for you to travel to do me personal training sessions. But you know, I watch your videos on your channel. You know, and I often when I'm having a good week or whenever, you know, I'll still send you a picture, and you know, it's still there as a morale booster, that actually there's someone there that, you know, I'm not trying to impress you, but actually it makes me feel good that I've done something, and obviously you will appreciate it, whether it be I've eaten a healthy meal or I've trained, you know, 3 or 4 times this week. And going back to what we said earlier in the program about having somebody to share with, not necessarily every day, but you know, when you do something good or do something bad, having that one person potentially or more, you know, to share with. I mean, Dee says, you know, what else can we do other than, you know, we cook cakes every day and then eat them up.
I love that. That would be me.
Well, when you're baking cakes, whilst baking, 20-minute jog on the spot, you know?
That's it.
Calories before you eat. You can do squats on the spot. You can do press ups. You can do so much. If you haven't got any equipment, there's so many body weight exercises you can do while it's actually cooking. For every cake you eat, that's 10 burpees or 10 press ups or 20 squats. You know, make it fun. It's not punishment. It's just something you're doing to get you moving.
Yeah, there you go. Right? There you go, Dee. Chris has given you permission, as long as you do some squats or some, you know, any kind of exercise while you're baking the cakes. I
mean, ideally, don't keep the cakes to a minimum, but if that's what it's going to be.
That's it, definitely. So as we've said, you know, right from the start of the show, if you've got any questions for Chris about, you know, the physical side of things and physical well-being, please get them in the comments. Andrew wants to know what your YouTube link is. All the YouTube links and everything are on the in the descriptions, but everything is Tailor-Made Fitness, right, Chris?
That's right, Tailor-Made Fitness PT.
That's it. So check all the links out for both our guest speakers in the description on YouTube and on Facebook, and give them a follow, subscribe to their channels as well, and check out their videos. So thank you. Yeah, we've got someone. Okay, so we've got this one comment in from Nikki in Cyprus. Says, "Hi Chris, welcome. I've had thyroid for over 12 years, and ever since I've always found it hard to lose weight. And after having my 2 boys, it's just got harder. Do you recommend anything, please?"
Okay, so with thyroid, I'll take it you're under medication to help with that. So what I would say is, it's like I was saying earlier in the show, is you have to be consistent. It is harder when you have a thyroid problem, and I agree with that, but it's all possible. But healthy eating, no diet. I'm not saying go on any fad diet, whether it's Atkins or Herbalife or a shake diet, nothing like that. Forget that. Go healthy, just healthy eating. And that will just consist of having your 3 meals a day, your breakfast in the morning, lunch, dinner, and if you're snacking, snack on fruit, vegetables and things like that, really.
Yeah.
And try and keep exercising as well. If you do 20 minutes every day, that's great. If you can only manage 3 times a week, do it 3 times a week, but maybe for a little bit longer, maybe half an hour. But it's no good doing it for 1 week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks. You may not see no results. It could take 2 months, it could take 3 months, but it will happen. But if you're not consistent with it, you're just going to yo-yo. You're going to do well 1 week, and then you may slack off the next week and like, I'm not losing no weight. And the reason you're not losing no weight is you're not doing the right things right consistently. And you have to be consistent. I couldn't stress that enough for anybody who wants to lose weight, whether you've got a thyroid problem or not, you know?
Yeah, and I think you touched the nail on the head with the fact that it's not an overnight thing. You're, you know, whether it's losing weight, whether it's getting fit, whether it's, you know, doing both, it's not going to happen over even 1 week. You know, you might train. I trained 6 days a week 2 weeks ago. I did 6 days last week and 4 or 5 days last week. 2 weeks ago and then this week. But I'm not where I want to be, you know, and you might say, Jesus, I've trained non-stop for 2 weeks. It's not going to happen in 2 weeks. It's, you know, and then it's not just the training either. Like you said, it's the food, it's the diet. A lot of, you know, people, you know, I studied sport and exercise science and nutrition. When we studied the topic of nutrition, it's amazing how much obviously physical exercise does to train and get you fit and healthy. But actually, without the nutrition to go with it, it's almost not a waste of time, but it's almost you're doing yourself a disservice, right? So,
I mean, it's like a car, right? A car needs petrol and water. The body needs the same thing. It needs exercise and food. If you do one at 100% and the other at 50%, you'll see results in time, and vice versa. If the other one's at 50 and one's at 100, but if you're doing them both at 100% and you're doing it consistently over a period of time, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, 12 months, that's when you're going to really see the results. But I think the problem with today's world, or, you know, most people that I speak to, is everyone wants it now. You know, they see the Instagram influencer, they see the celebrity, they're like, oh my God, they've lost weight so quickly. One, they've probably had liposuction. Let's be real, they've probably had some sort of surgery, unfortunately, and they just don't tell you about it, and then they come out with a fitness DVD. 2, you probably haven't seen them for about 6 months without realizing, but all they've been doing in that 6 to 12 months is training, eating healthy, doing what they need to do. Then bang, they come out. Oh my God, they look so great. Yeah, they look so great because they got the time and effort. They're putting in the time and effort. Yeah. Because without time and effort, you won't do it. And yeah, you could do like a quick fix diet, and you will lose weight, guaranteed. That I don't deny. But you will put more weight back on once you come off that diet, because you're not really teaching yourself anything to. You're not retraining your brain or your body to what it actually needs to do. You're doing the quick fix that makes you feel good for a minute, but not a lifetime. So
yeah, and again, this is where it comes into the mental well-being of it's retraining the mind about changing your lifestyle. So whether that be your eating habits, whether that be you know, training more or doing the right kind of training, it's about retraining your mind and your body to do it, rather than, like you say, these yo-yo diets or these yo-yo fitness programs. And just kind of to touch on that, Nick has asked, you know, Chris, what's your view on the explosion of these Get Fit apps on phones? You know, you see them advertised while you're scrolling through your Facebook and your Instagram, and, you know, get perfect abs in 60 days or 40 days or, you know, 12-week fitness program. What's your view and opinion on some of those?
I mean, if it gets you moving, then it's good. If it actually gets you exercising, then it's good. But what you got to be realistic with any kind of fitness apps, they're probably going to be in-apps that say pay for this or buy this to draw you in, because not everything is going to be free. Usually the good stuff you have to pay for, because you can, you know, train for 60 days to get abs, but realistically, are you going to get abs in 60 days? Probably not, because you may be training, but what about your food? What are you learning, right? But I definitely think it's a good thing if it's going to get you exercising. If it's not going to get you exercising because you're just looking at a screen all the time thinking, I can do that, or it doesn't show you how to do exercise properly, then you could be looking at hurting yourself rather than benefiting yourself. So choose a right app. Be very careful which app you choose, and which kind of levels, and do they give you beginners, do they give you intermediate, do they give you advanced, what kind of progressions do they give you, because all that you've got to take in consideration as well. But if it gets you moving and you can do it safely, then I don't see it being a bad thing. But you have to know what you're doing at the same time.
I think that's the key, to be honest, Chris, is you have to know what you're doing. And you don't get that unless you've worked in a gym, or if you are a personal trainer, or if you study sports science. You don't know. I worked in a gym with yourself for a very long time, and my problems are totally different to other people. My problem is I forget to eat. So sometimes I eat once a day. And how many times when you were training us did I say to you, oh yeah, I've not eaten, or I'll eat later? And my bad habit is that I do everything else, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I need to eat. So I have to train my brain to have little and often. And when obviously working with yourself, I was setting myself little goals like have eggs ready on the side, and actually all those little things I still do now. I'll boil some eggs the night before, and then the next morning I'll just crack them and chop them up, and even the kids, they'll walk past and just eat them. And it's a good way of like training myself to eat. But these personal trainers like yourself, they've studied, they've worked really hard to get to where they are. It's for you yourself, you haven't got this knowledge overnight. You've worked day in, day out, in different body types. You've seen it all in a gym, and I think the apps are great in the sense, like you said, that they'll get them moving, but actually you need that expert advice. I mean, you're not going to go to a supermarket and say to them, how can you fix my car? They wouldn't know. You take it to a garage. So it's the same with the fitness. I think you need to go and seek professional advice, even if it is just like a quick chat with someone, and then you follow your own steps.
That's
I
right.
mean, we're all in a position to
definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
I've got a couple more questions for you as well, Chris. So no, go on. You can respond.
I'm just going to touch on Sam's point. Yeah, we all need someone who knows what they're talking about, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people that will say they're personal trainers, or they bear that, or people who just train themselves in the gym and have done pretty well, in all fairness to them, who then try to give advice to others without realizing actually that person's not you, and the way they can respond to stuff, or their body will respond to stuff, or if they have a problem X, Y, and Z, won't work for them, and that's where a lot of people will kind of fall down and make big mistakes and wondering why they won't get nowhere. So always stick to someone who knows what they're talking about.
That's it. So we've got a message in from, and obviously quite appropriate now given what's going on. So Chris, how do you help clients plan an exercise regime to keep them engaged through the variety of given the current restrictions?
So generally what I do is, so we'll do our workout. If it's a new client, say, I'll see what fitness levels they're at, and we'll work together 2-3 sessions at least before I give them anything to do on their own, because I have to be sure that I have to be sure that they know what they're doing and doing the exercise properly. So what I do, I'll find their base where to start with and what we need to do, and then every 3 or 4 sessions I'll start giving them a program to do on their own. Now I'll ask them, and I won't make that program any longer than 20 minutes, just due through research and through working with loads of different kinds of people, that I was finding that if I was giving them an hour session to do, 9 times out of 10 they wouldn't do it. But if I got them to commit to 20 minutes workout of my program, I found they were more likely to do it 2-3 times a week on top of what we do as well. The regime, it will vary person to person. I couldn't say one shoe doesn't fit all, unfortunately. But the main thing is, and I think you touched on it earlier with Foddy, is accountability. So I make them accountable for their actions, because most of the time it's not actually me that does it, it's them. You know, I'm there to help and I'm there to give the advice and I'm there to show them how it's done. But at the end of the day, if they don't do it, they're the ones who are not going to get the results. I can only do so much and tell them so much. But with the restrictions, and we can do online, and, you know, clients can email me, we FaceTime all the time. You know, I'm lucky I can go to the park and train them because I have all the equipment in that. So, and sometimes it's going to rain and my clients will call me and say, "Oh, Chris, it's raining." I'm like, "Okay, we're going to get wet."
Yeah. So what?
Right? It's water. We got wet as a kid, we can get wet as an adult. We may not like it, but at the end of the session, they're glad they've done the session, rather than be like, "Oh, I stayed home and I've missed my workout and feel bad for it."
Yeah. And I think, and again, it all ties back into having a goal. So Foddy spoke about goals and setting, you know, small, medium, long-term goals. And it's the same with obviously the physical side of things and, you know, what they want to get out of working with you, right? Or working with a trainer, or just in general. So, you know, whether it's setting, you know, I want to be fit or lose X amount of weight by this time, or, you know, a lot of people, let's be honest, usually kind of start these yo-yo dieting and start, you know, use a big event, whether it be a wedding or a, you know, summer holidays or whatever it is, as a kind of motivation. Right, it's January, to get fit for summer, or, you know, hopefully we can go on holiday in summer, so let's start training now to have that beach body. And it's fine to work that way, but again, it's almost a case of you're not training your mind the right way, because then after summer, it's almost like, well, that's not my mindset anymore. And then
you don't have that motivation.
Yeah, you haven't got the summer holiday to look forward to. You know,
how do you get them to stay motivated, Chris? I know obviously you set targets and you do little achievements, and it's ideally what the client wants. But you know myself, so I'll use me as an example. I just can't motivate myself to train. I'm the worst. You know, there's this one girl that I look at and I call her the machine. She's the machine. She trains really hard. And when I see her, I'm like, yeah, I want to get like her. I want to be as fit as her. But I can't push myself into it. I always have the excuse of, I'm going to sleep, or I'm doing something.
And I think I've said this to you both when we were training, and to others, it's when you've made your last excuse, you'll be ready, right? Because you've got no more excuses to make.
Kyle about homework.
When you've got so it's difficult for people, because not a lot of people are motivated, and unfortunately, because it's cold and because of lockdown, and it's the third time we didn't think it was going to happen again, people have become, I guess, a little bit depressed or a little bit sluggish. But at the end of the day, if I said to you tomorrow, be at my house at 5 a.m, I'm going to hand you £1 million. I bet at 4:30 a.m, you're going to be at my house waiting for that money, right? So it's how important it is to you. And it's got to be a matter of importance. And a matter of importance, not just for your summer body or for your winter ski trip or for that wedding, but for your lifestyle and on longevity. Yeah. And this is what I pretty much tell every client, like, if you're training for the short term, we see results. If you're training for the long term, you're going to keep results. I like because that. it has to be long term. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, and sometimes you've got to find what's your why. You know, what about your kids? If you like people who have children, do you want your because what I found with clients who have got children, when they see their mum or their dad train, all of a sudden they want to join in, which is fine by me. They can join in; it's not a problem. Yeah. And then they want to keep fit because they're like, oh, mummy and daddy are keeping fit, so that's what I should be doing too, right? It's about being a role model and finding your why. So kids can be that reason, you know. And sometimes you just got to do it for yourself. Like, if it's not for anybody, I mean, let's we're all going to get old, but you want to get old and be ill with ill health and have problems and be in a hospital, or you want to be that person who's growing old, healthy, keep moving, doesn't need no one to look after you, can look after yourself. You know, it's actually thinking about the long-term picture rather than the short-term.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, just to touch on that, it's I suppose giving yourself and your body the best chance of, like, say, growing old gracefully and healthily. Obviously, you know, obviously the body works in mysterious ways, and, you know, unfortunately, not to disrespect anybody, but that does have any, you know, physical issues that they can't help, you know, the big cancer and all the rest of it. So, you know, I suppose it's making, you know, you're giving yourself that fighting chance of being able to put up a fight if you do come across, you know, health issues and stuff. But
I mean, I was going to say, I mean, like whether you go doctors for heart issues, for blood pressure, for cholesterol, for COVID, what do they tell you to do? Exercise. What do people not do? Exercise, right? Yeah. So
definitely,
like, it's setting your priorities and understanding that.
Yeah.
Do you want to do this for your health, firstly? And let's be honest, secondly, it's vanity. We all like to look good. And there's nothing wrong with that. Each individual, how they feel they look good. That's totally, I've got nothing against that. That's everyone individual. But for a health point of view, and to want to be fit and healthy, I think it is so important. Like, we just need to get the message out there and make people understand that you can do it, you know? And if you want to listen, as you said, tomorrow we could wake up and one of us could get cancer, but we can do our best to stop it, well, to prevent it as best we can.
Yeah, and let's say just be in a stronger position, a stronger starting position to try and fight it. So Andrew just mentioned, I know Sam's got another one she wants to come on to as well in a second. I'm conscious of time. So Andrew says, we want to go lose weight fast and get disheartened when it takes ages, but it's true. It needs to be consistent and slower. I'm aiming to lose 1 pound a week. Seems more manageable, but frustrating, more likely to achieve though. Find a friend to do it with, and it's more fun as well. So I think she's hit the nail on the head. Set whatever you feel is achievable. 1 pound, 2 pound, half a pound. You know, everybody's body is different in terms of how it responds to exercise and dieting and how quickly it sheds the weight, right? You know,
that's right.
So I think is anything you want to sort of add to what Andrew said there?
Yeah, I mean, that 1 pound comment is brilliant, because I tell most people that aim for a pound a week, because you can lose more, but you can't lose less. So if you've lost a pound, that's great. What's wrong with losing a pound or half a pound? That's success. Yeah. That's half a pound less than you were a week ago. Over 4 weeks, that's 2 pounds. 4 weeks ago, you wasn't 2 pounds less. That's brilliant. And it's sustainable and it's manageable. I mean, 1 week you might not lose a pound, but the following week you might lose 2 or 3 pounds. The body can have a delayed reaction. I mean, you've seen, I'm sure we've all seen, like, Biggest Loser, when 1 week they lost 18 pounds and they're training every day and eating healthy, yet the next week they lose 0. Why is that? Because it can happen, no matter how hard you're training. But if you're consistent and you're doing it over and over, it's going to come off. And it can be disheartening, but and frustrating. And that's why I said earlier in the show that you've got to be patient, dedicated, and consistent, because you're going to have frustrating times, and you're going to need maybe people around you to say, you can still go it, you can still do it. But sometimes you're also going to need the harsh truths. If you're not doing something you're supposed to, sometimes being mother cuddled is only going to go so far. Then you need someone to say, actually, you know what?
Did you hear what Christian said about you need someone to tell you the home truths? Because every time he's training, I'm like, well, just say that's enough. And then sorry to cut you there, but I honestly do believe that you've got to be that right balance of tell them the truth, but like be supportive with it. Yeah, hashtag no breaks is the best one.
No, but 100% hashtag no breaks.
That's it. So for the listeners listening, that was my little saying that I started off. I don't know if it was to my detriment or whatever. Chris, after the first session, he had me literally on the floor, you know, in the garden about being sick practically. I died, and from the second session, I was like, oh, that's it, no breaks, and it stuck. And every time I got tired in a session, it was, you know, no breaks. And it might be as simple as giving yourself a little motto, right? You know,
that's right. Yeah.
You know, there's obviously the obvious ones, the cliche ones, you know, no pain, no gain, and, you know, whatever. But it might be that you find your own little saying or little motto that helps you get through or helps you get motivated, you know. So again, it's all those kind of things. Just conscious, we've got loads of comment. Obviously,
can I just get to this one?
What you just said before you do, you know, step by step, you'll get your goal if you persevere, and that's right with physical and mental. But Sam's got another one that's just on the phone that she wants to read out as well and go through.
Well, it's physical and mental, really. So I had a message from a listener, and basically she had cancer at a young age, and she's had a full hysterectomy. She did 8 years of chemo, and one day she just woke up and she was in pain. She now has to inject herself I think it's every day, and she's struggling mentally and also physically because she wants to be able to run after her children or her grandchildren or whoever. She wants to be able to do the stuff that she used to do that she can't. And obviously I've worked in the gym for 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm not a professional. I wouldn't know where to start. I have sort of said massage because I'm qualified in massage and in the body. So I've said massage might help with the pain, but she also needs to check with the medication with the doctor because obviously certain oils can affect medication. So obviously I've said seek medical advice first, then I can sort of guide her with the pain management. But is there stuff she could do like light fitness or something that might help her well-being mentally as well as physically? I mean, obviously I will tell her to get in touch with yourself, but
so
what can you suggest to sort of help someone in that situation?
I mean, with someone like that, I need to know a little bit more detail so I can be a bit more specific, but in a general format, I would say when they do reopen swimming pools, because you don't weigh anything in water, just walking up and down. You know, if she can swim, be great just to swim because that'd be okay. If she can't swim, then just literally walking up and down in the swimming pool because you're strengthening all the bones in your body and you're getting moving and you're exercising. You know, water aerobics is really good because your body weighs nothing in water, so you can really get the muscles to work and bone density as well. I mean, to get back to how she used to, it depends on what her kind of levels are at the moment. I mean, you know, I know it sounds silly, but if she can crawl and play little crawl games, why not? You know, it doesn't have to be walking. If she can walk with them around and just hold their hand, then that's even better. You know, if they can help assist her with that, if she can't walk great. If, you know, she's got grandkids or her kids, and to be playing little games with them, even if it's just sitting down and doing some hand-eye coordination movements, every little bit's going to help. It's that interaction, one, to help the mental well-being, and two, to get her physically moving, her arms and her legs.
And what about, you touched on obviously sitting down and playing with the grandkids, but obviously when she's either not with the grandkids or just wanting to work on herself and fitness and her physical well-being, I suppose sitting down exercises. So if she's struggling to walk or stand for long, or like I say, you need more information about her actual, physical situation. But, I'm sure there's lots of exercises that she can do, even sort of armically, those like kind of arm.
That's right. Yeah.
And 5 minutes, your shoulders will go and stuff. So are there sort of other things like that you can, suggest? But
yeah, definitely. I mean, in the first lockdown, I did a workout for kind of people in her situation where everything is sitting down, but you can move your exercises. If you've got a chair that's got handlebars, if you can push yourself up and down, is a great exercise for her to do. But also meditation is great. Again, you can get it online on YouTube if she's got access to internet. If she hasn't, just sit there, close her mind off to the world, light a candle, just kind of set the mood a little bit, and just for 5-10 minutes in the morning or afternoon or evening, whenever she's got time, I think that will help her mental well-being as well. And having people around her as well, that's going to help push her and help keep her going and support, because at the end of the day, we all need it in one form or another.
Definitely. And again, just another little plug for, Chris's YouTube channel. There are some fantastic, videos, as he's just touched on, videos doing exercises sitting down, the short 5-10 minute videos that everyone can find 5-10 minutes to do a bit of exercise to start and, like I say, get into the habit of doing some physical exercise, whether it be for, to lose weight or whether it just be for your physical well-being. So please check it out. All the details and all the links are in the descriptions for on both Facebook and YouTube. So check them out and give them a subscribe and a follow. Chris, conscious of your time, I've got one more question, or maybe two if we can squeeze them in. George in Australia says, do you recommend any machines advertised on the shopping channel? So a little bit like Nick's comment about, those quick apps.
Yeah.
Everything. What about the shopping channel exercise equipments?
Not for me personally. Not for me. I mean, if you want anything to be at home, resistance bands are great because you can tie them to the door, you can step on them, and you can do so many varied exercises. The ones you see on the telly shopping channel that you've got the model and the fitness model kind of using it, saying, this is working great. Not really. You're better off resistance bands. Like I said, great tool to have at home, and they're fairly cheap. Dyno bands, which are different. So the dyno bands are the ones with no handles. You just tie around your legs, and you can work a lot of leg exercises with them. And the resistance bands are the ones with the handles. You can do bicep curls, you can do lat raises. You can tie it to the door and do your triceps, do a chest press. Definitely recommend those. All those other gimmicks, I think you're wasting your money, but that's on you to decide if you feel it's value for money and you're going to use it.
Yeah, and again, touching on that last point, it's like anything, right? And these shopping channels, don't underestimate how much research goes into selling via these shopping channels. They advertise one thing for about half an hour. So if you get stuck watching it, and I found myself doing this before, I don't think I've quite bought one, but no, I'm lying. I have bought one once. The ab cruncher years and years ago. A sit-up machine. It was just something that you laid your head on, held the bar, and just do sit-ups. But you could just do sit-ups yourself, and I fell for it once. Then had an automatic counter to tell you how many sit-ups you've done. I was like, I can count myself, but I bought it, I used it. But I think it's like I say, you kind of fall into a bit of you get mesmerised by the channel or the advert about something. And again, if you're thinking about getting fit or losing weight, and you see this all-in-one machine that promises the world, it's easy to fall into it. But that's the whole magic of marketing and advertising, and the whole shopping channel. They're there to sell you something, and they don't sell it to you in a quick 30-second advert. They're talking about a 30-minute advert selling you the same thing
over and over and over, getting into your brain. I mean, even those ab machines, I mean, mechanically, they actually, which they don't say, is actually no good for your neck because of how it comes up. They don't ever mention that on these channels, but you see them everywhere in gyms, which is really disappointing, if I'm honest with you. At home, people
a little ab machine.
There you go. Andrea had one as well. I had one of those sit-up things, Georgia. I forget what it's called. It was an ab something.
It's an ab cruncher.
No,
I don't know what the term is on the shopping channel, but it's the cruncher machine. And I used to love that, but Chris will tell you, and everyone else will tell you, I worked there for 10 years and I never used the gym. I'd used the pool, and that's a great shout. I forgot completely about swimming, and that's actually a really good way to get fit if you're not one to exercise, because I actually enjoy swimming. So maybe, as long as the pool's warm.
She needs
I need
30-degree
water.
So
I'd swim all day if I lived in the Bahamas.
So just a couple more. I mean, Penny says, thanks for the advice. I'll message you, Chris, for some more advice. So great.
No problem.
Thank you very much. George actually says he's got a total gym and it does work if used properly. And listen, it's down to, again, the motivation and what it means to you. So if you're buying it because you're sat on a shopping channel and you like the idea of it, or you like the model and their body, you think, I want to look like that, and you just buy it off impulse, you're not going to use it. But actually, if you've bought something with the intention of doing it, I mean, I've got the treadmill in the back, the background here, and for 10 months, everyone's kind of mocked me on Sooty FM saying, do you ever use that thing? And we did the live Children in Need where we ran for 3 hours. So I have used it. You've all seen it.
And I did 40 minutes.
We're now kind of extending our studio stroke gym, because we obviously use it as a studio for Sooty FM and a gym, and it's now making it so the boxing bag and the
to be fair, for Sooty, in our old house, our gym was set up. It was lovely. You remember, Chris? It was a space. He could use it. I never used it. Again, only when I was training with Chris, I was lazy. I'm one of those people that if I don't have a trainer, I'm not going to train. But now with this house, we haven't had that luxury of having the space. And I always, again, go back to the clear mind. If it's clean, spacious area, you're going to train. You're going to want to get in there. You want to work out. When your wife fills up your treadmill with loads of juices and stuff that Costco shopping and God knows what else, my husband hasn't had the chance to do it. So again, it's also about being supportive of the other person to train.
That's it. So now Sam's not allowed to put anything in the gym.
That's right. And I mean, the one thing I always say about the Total Gym, I mean, if you're using it, as you said, it's great. I mean, the good thing about the Total Gym, I think it's got about 4 or 5 different parts of it, and it's quite big, which not everyone can have in their house. I'm assuming that he's got enough space to have one of those, which is good. If you're going to use it, it's good. Like, especially something like that, like some kind of a multiple all-in-one. You can do lots of different body parts with it, but most things, not really.
Yeah. It's like anything, right? You know, it's like if you're looking to buy a laptop or a phone or something, clothing, or, you know, whatever, you do the research, right, to go and get the right one. You go and do the research to get the right laptop or the right, you know, do I get a Mac or do I get a Windows or do I get something else? It's the same with equipment. You know, it's making sure you're going to go and buy the right equipment that you're going to use and it's going to help you achieve that goal. So yes, you know,
and knowing how to use it as well. So if you don't know, seek that advice, because the amount of times I've seen accidents in the gym because people don't, I mean, there's trainers walking around everywhere and they don't, and they just use it and then they hurt themselves. Knowledge is key, especially with training and with your body. If you don't put the right food in, like you said, if you don't know how to use a machine a certain way, you could really damage your body. So really, the main thing about all of this is seek some advice.
Definitely. 100%.
Definitely. Right, Chris, I know we've taken up a bit more time than we promised. So anything you'd like to say as a kind of final point from yourself?
Yeah, just, you know, if anyone's got any questions, please feel from the show, please feel free to message me. Don't be shy. I'll get back to you as soon as I can when I'm not working with clients and everything. You know, I'll answer and help as much as I can. Thank both of you for having me on.
You're welcome.
And I hope everyone's taken something from this and help them, you know, maybe decide how they're going to get fit and what they need to do to get it. And then if they need any help with that or any questions, they can, you know, feel free to get in touch with me and I'll help as best as I can.
Brilliant. Thank you, Chris. And again, say thank you to yourself and Foddy. In the description, you'll find everybody's links to their details. We'll let Chris go because I know he's got to shoot off now. So, Chris, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Problem. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was Chris from TMF, and as we said, we had Foddy from Athena Consulting earlier. So all the information, their links to their pages and Chris's YouTube channel are in the description. So check them out. If you like what you see, give them a follow. Subscribe to the channels. Again, we try to get people on the show when we're talking about certain topics, you know, who we will call them experts. And when I say experts, it doesn't necessarily mean, I mean, obviously, Andrea, who we had last week, is a teacher, so she's qualified. Chris is a qualified personal trainer. Foddy is qualified in what he's like, mentoring and has been doing it for years. So we bring people in that know what they're talking about. We class as experts or value their sort of thoughts and opinions. But as we've said, you know, last week and this week, and we'll say on every show, obviously we're here. We are not psychologists. We are not clinicians. We are not doctors. We are just here to offer some helpful hints and tips, guidance potentially. We know we're not giving you advice as to what to do or how to go and do it. We're giving you options and, you know, opinions from the experts or people that either work with people potentially in your similar situation and stuff like that. So we hope you're finding the show useful. I know it's obviously very different to our Friday night party, dancing around and singing and everything else. But sometimes it's good to slow down and be there for each other, which is exactly what we're doing through the new talk show. Hoping you're finding, we've done 2. This is a second one. So, I mean, we've still got about 15, 20 minutes or so left. So be interesting to get your thoughts. Obviously, we can still talk about well-being, even though our guests have gone.
I mean, it's also about seeking help from other people. So you know, someone reached out to me, I gave them certain advice with the knowledge I know, but then straight away I knew who to ask. So it's also someone will know someone. So if there is something that's going on and we can try and help you, I mean, feel free, message us. We can always do a show on it and see if there any of you guys can help each other as well. So that's what these shows are kind of about. I mean, is there anything you want to add?
Foddy's just saying, thank you all for listening. Thank you, Sam and George, for having me on. If anyone has any questions or queries, please get in touch. And that's the great thing as well that we found with Andrea last week and Foddy and Chris this week. Obviously, we've spoken to them obviously before the show and asked them if they'd like to come on and talk. And bless her, I know Andrea's been inundated with messages, and again, Foddy and Chris both offering themselves out there to continue the support. So it's not just a case of, you know, half an hour or so on Sooty FM just to talk about stuff. They're actually offering their services and their help and their expert opinions out there. So, you know, please do reach out to all our guests across the different shows, because obviously today we're talking about it, but tomorrow, next week, next month, you might be struggling with your well-being and you might need to turn to someone. So, you know, you can turn to us. You know, if maybe you've forgotten who it is that we've had on the show, we can always put you in touch. You know, but that's why we're bringing the community together by bringing experts in to help everyone.
Also, so that you don't feel alone, because I know there's sometimes that I sit there and I think, oh, I'm moaning about this, but I'm happy and I'm healthy and all of that. But it's also knowing that you can tell someone something and you're not getting judged. You're literally getting what you need off your chest and going from there and finding the help and support you need. So Andrea's just said, yep, I'm still here. So she's there to help homeschooling. Even, you know, sometimes as adults, we might need to ask, how do you do this? Or how do you do that? I mean, the amount of times I've asked this lot how to do maths is unreal. So, you know, get in contact with any of the guys.
Well, thank you for those of you that are still tuned in, and for the comments. You know, it looks like people are enjoying the show, and it might be that, you know, not necessarily every topic we choose on a Tuesday might not necessarily resonate with you, and if that's the case, that's no problem. But don't forget to subscribe to the channel on YouTube, because especially for our party shows, potentially that could be the way forward, so that we don't get cut off. The Facebook police are very much still cutting us on our lives on Friday, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. And Andrew just says, thank you both for putting so much effort into trying to help the community and the Sooty FM family. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. We do it just for the, you know, love of what we do, and obviously the interaction. And if there's anything else we can do to help, that's what we're here for.
And like I said, so you're not alone, because that's, I mean, especially when you're locked up or you're isolating like D, and you can't see anyone and you can't get in contact with anyone. We're here as extra people to sort of say, okay, well, I might not be able to help you, but I know someone that will, and we'll try that way.
Yeah, definitely. And again, just off the back of last week's show, you know, we had a question from one of our listeners about, or we was talking about obviously the Senko stuff, and, you know, children with extra needs at school, and, you know, homeschooling and all the rest of it. And actually after the show, one of our listeners, you know, messaged in and said, I work with special needs children. So just by doing this show, we've managed to put two people together that actually can communicate off air and outside of the show, but actually there's somebody else out there who's an expert who can help another one of the listeners and one of the Sooty FM family with their particular situation. So,
and there might be so many resources that you're not sure, and they know about this stuff. They know about what resources to tap into, or what, like with Chris, for example, TMF, who's just been on. If you don't know how to use the equipment, then you might hurt yourself, where he has the knowledge and the resources to sort of say, right, this is good, this is how you do it, this is, you know, the right way to do it, and help people train safely. So that's, I mean, but that's in all aspects, not just in training. It's about what Foddy said, you know, setting goals. It's all about every point.
Yep.
Like key point in this whole show, really.
Exactly. And every topic we talk about, there's going to be so many people that have experienced that particular issue or subject, or going through the same sort of things, but we'll all have different ways of dealing with it. So, you know, it's great that we've got the guests and the speakers coming on the show. But what we'd like to see, you know, is more of your experiences as well, with each of the topics as well. And again, if that's not for you, then that's not a problem at all either. I mean, Penny's just come on and said, you know, good to see so many professionals willing to help people, and that's what it's all about. And you know, we might have shows where we don't have a guest speaker to either talk about that particular subject, or maybe they're just not free that week, and you might just be stuck with us. But we will always try and, you know, put people in touch and get people on the show that can obviously add another opinion and expertise, or, you know, voice of reason for whatever it is we're talking about. So so yeah, Penny, I'm glad, you know, you can join. Thank you for tuning in. And I've got it on the screen here as well. If you've got a topic you'd like to you know, help with, or for us to discuss on one of these shows, then please get in touch. We had loads of comments last week. We had lots of people get in touch asking about well-being, off the back of last week's show, which is why we followed it up with today's show. And we've already got one scheduled for next week, but I'm going to come on to that in just a minute. So I'm going to dangle that carrot there in just a second, for a second, and come back to that. So Georgina says, I've become a good wine taster nowadays. And Georgina, it'd be good to know,
to the wine glass.
Was that a goal that you set for your well-being, to become a good wine taster? Was it just happened, you know, through the natural flow of what's happened over the last 10 months? But yes, you're late. You're very, very late. And as I say, you know, Alice in Wonderland, you're late for a very important date with Sooty FM. So you'll have to make it up to us, or just take the backlash.
Listen, you've got to do what's right for you. Like Foddy said, you know, you need your own downtime. Everyone needs it. Like I said earlier, I can't wait for football to open again, so my husband and my son can go and let off the steam that they need to let off. And that's not because I don't love having them here, because I do, but everyone needs that little something that's going to help keep them sane. So if it's talking to a personal trainer and doing some sessions, great. If it's talking to Foddy and setting goals, then great. Please reach out to these people, and please, you know, they'll be willing to help you along with your journeys. So
definitely. Go on, sorry, I'm just we just had a message from Chris. Obviously he's had to shoot off, but he just messaged saying thanks for that, really enjoyed it, and if anyone has any questions or wants to reach out, then please remind them to do so. So again, we try and get people on that will obviously give useful information, but also will be there to support and continue. So
well, Nick's just said great to also kids being involved too. Well, do you know what, Nick? Chris said something about when you train and your kids are watching you. I never thought of that. The truth is, I'm one of those people that, no, I'm staying in bed. Give me another hour. I don't want to train. I've worked in gyms. I've done it all. I'm tired. But actually I'm going to be very aware now of the fact that my kids are watching everything we do. And especially right now, being locked up at home, maybe we need to set the positive, happy settings for them so that they can be happy, good children. Because actually, if we're a bit miserable, I'm sure our children will be a bit miserable too. So you're right there with the kids being involved.
Definitely. And again, going back to, you know, the exercise, Georgina said, I've literally been running again tonight, and oh my God, I didn't know how much I needed it. When I got back, I had this release of energy and mentally. So that goes back to what Sam was saying, right, kind of the start of the show, that, you know, this morning she got up, she went for a walk, went to the shops and came home, and then she had a buzz of energy.
I was ready today, and it was the first time, and do you know what? I think I'm going to set myself little goals, like Foddy said earlier. Maybe it is a case of I just walk around the block every day, and or if not every day, every other day. But also what Chris said, it's just water. If it's raining, maybe I should still do it, because I'm the worst. If I'm cold or if I'm wet, I don't want to be outside.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's how motivated you are. So, you know, we've had this discussion loads of time when the schools were open, you know, do we walk to school with the kids or do we drive them to school? Now it's a 2-minute drive, not even probably. It's a 10-minute walk. And yeah, in the summer it's lovely and you see all the parents walk in.
No,
but,
I still drive.
You know, this one, you know, but because that's more so because I suppose we're not morning people, we're night owls. Hence why we do the late shows, and obviously it comes with the DJing and all the rest of it. So for us, it's you know, we're those parents are rushing around in the morning trying to get to school on time, which is why we tend to. But again, it's that mindset change, and when the schools open again and all the rest of it, actually, it's a good start to the day, one for the kids. So then by the time they get to school, they've had a 10-minute walk. So hopefully they'll be ready and geared up for school, rather than, they just got up, got ready and got driven to school. But then also for us walking back home, we've done a 20-minute walk, and actually we're both ready to start work. I'm ready to work, and Sam's ready to, you know, whatever it is, do housework or do whatever she needs to do for the day. So it's about that mindset change. And again, it all factors into what we're talking about tonight of mental well-being and physical well-being, and tying them both in together, because, you know, together you get more. And Gudla says, I go for long walks with my dog, which I really enjoy. And
maybe I need a dog.
Maybe you need a dog. Maybe you know, Santa missed you on the Christmas. My argument to that point is around what happens when we can go on holiday and go out. Where's the dog going to go? But that's another subject completely. And there you go. You got an offer to move, so you've got someone. You know,
no, you can move up here. I love Derby. To be honest, when we do go for the walks, I've never seen so many beautiful places. Where we live, I go out and I'm like, wow, that tree is lovely. And you're like, when I lived in London, I would have been like, oh, for God's sake, why is that in the way? So I'm definitely very happy out of London and the scenery that we have.
There you go. So you go, Sam. A walk helps. Call a friend whilst you're walking. Then it becomes a catch up too. You'll forget you're walking. That's it. If you want to go, further and go for a longer walk, then do it with company, on the phone, FaceTime, whatever it might be. Just trying to crack through a lot of the comments as well. Irini says, we all need a dog, Sam.
We do. We do need a dog, Irini.
That's it. There we go. You see, we've touched on the subject about dogs. So, to
be fair,
Andrew's on my side. That's what I say to the kids about a dog. I'd love a dog, but the reality is we don't have anywhere or anyone that can look after the dog when we want to go to Cyprus for our Sooty FM party in the Finigues in Cyprus in the summer. So I don't want to put a dog through, getting all loved up and attached to the Sooty family, for them to only be left alone for 2 or 3 weeks in the summer and stuff. I just don't think it's fair. Yeah,
I mean, I grew up with dogs, so for me, it's totally different. But I kind of do agree with my husband. And the reason we won't is because when we are working and we're DJing, it's very long hours, and it's not fair to leave a dog at home, as much as I love them. So if any of my friends have got dogs and when we're allowed, please let me play with them.
That's it. So Eleanor also says a walk does help. It's the best. And do you know what? It really is. It costs nothing. And you don't need to live in a luxurious countryside or whatever. You can literally walk around the estate. You can walk up and down stairs. You can walk around your house. You can go for a walk anywhere. We've all got the luxury of being able to still walk around. We've not been told we can't walk. We can walk. So so do it. Gina says that she's coming now. She'll walk, shall I?
Yeah, walk.
Start making it. That's it. We'll see you in 3 weeks' time. So as we're coming to the end of the show, I know we could, sit and chit chat all night long about all sorts of stuff. Obviously, we want to try and contain it to the topics. If you have a topic that you want to discuss or you would like for us to bring up on Sooty FM, then please get in touch. You can get in touch with us after the show. Direct message us on Sooty FM. Send us a message and let us know, and then we'll get in touch to find out more about the story or the topic. Which is just what one of our listeners did last week off the back of last week's show. And so we have next week's show lined up already. We have the topic ready. And I think we're going to do it.
No, I think we should. This listener is unlucky in love. And I think that a lot of us have been there at some point in our lives. So I think that we'd be able to help. So next week's topic will be unlucky in love, and we'll all could give some comments and feedback, and
I think we've all been there, whether you're lucky or unlucky in love. It'd be great to share some stories. And again, we have one particular listener who's shared their story with us, and so we'll be going through their particular story. asking you for your thoughts and comments and you know, suggestions, but then we'll obviously open it up. And what we'd like to do next week is have a bit of a live call-in show. And so, you know, if you've been watching our experts over the last couple of weeks and you thought, oh, I'd love to go live on Sooty FM or call in or, you know, get on the screen, have my 5 minutes with Sooty FM, then next week is your chance. So if you would like to share your stories or experiences around, you know, being lucky or unlucky in love, then get in touch and we will send you details of how to do that. And we'll be doing that throughout kind of the whole show. So it won't be limited to 1 or 2 guests. We'll hopefully have as many of you as possible come on and share your story for sort of 5-10 minutes and then move on to the next one. So please get in touch if you'd like to come in and on the live. If you don't and you're comfortable just sending through your comments, then again, that is absolutely fine. So we don't have any guest speakers planned at the moment, as we'd like to do it more of a call-in show and a live talk show. But who knows, we may surprise you as well. So our topic next week, as we've just mentioned, unlucky in love. Maybe you've been lucky. Maybe you've been lucky after being unlucky. Whatever it may be, get in touch with us for next week. But also looking ahead to next week and, you know, future weeks. If there's any topics, any subjects you'd like us to discuss here on Sooty FM on our Tuesday talk show, please get in touch. And we're here to help in any way we can. So I think now is the time to say our good nights. And as always, please make sure you stay safe, stay strong, and stay positive wherever you are, whatever you're doing. You know, you have your own individual friends and family around you. You also have Sooty FM. You know, we're all here together. And I know lots of you have become friends and some of you even great friends through Sooty FM, even though you've never physically met, but through the shows and everything else, we are really pleased and proud of, you know, what we've built.
We've achieved. Well, from that one night a week where we thought, oh, let's just go and have a bit of fun, we've actually really made some great friends and had some, you know, great experiences over the past 10 months. So now is our way, another way for us to give back as much as we can. So yeah, that's where we're at. So.
Yeah, and there's obviously music. You know, music is great and dancing is great, and you know, but for some people, it's not the only way, or they want more, or they want something different. Which is why we started these talk shows, just as a another way of, you know, interacting with everybody and actually discussing, because there's so much we want to get through. And where we used to do 3 shows a week, Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and now it's just the Friday, because 3 times a week was just, you know, a bit too much. You know, the 3 party shows and stuff. We try and cram everything into that one show on a Friday, and then sometimes we find that as much as we want it to be a party show, you know, we end up talking too much, or there's too much to discuss, or whatever. So we split it out completely, having a talk show on the Tuesday. We can kind of talk everything. Who knows? We may even just have a get it off your chest show one day with no particular topic in mind and just share whatever, so that we can focus more Friday show on actually the party side of things and the music and less talking and all the rest of it. So we hope you're enjoying the new format, the new shows, the new talk shows, and
please subscribe, and we'll see you all Friday.
That's it. We've already had a request for a follow-up the following week of how to help to find love. Well, let's see if we can try and cram all of that in.
Yeah, maybe
next
we can
week.
push it all in the same show. That would be great.
Oh, well, I'm just going to click through a few messages before we leave. Thank you for your ongoing support. We say this all the time on Sooty FM. Please keep supporting us. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's going to be the way forward for us and for you to obviously keep enjoying the shows. And the more support we get on Sooty FM on YouTube, the more we can bring you. So please keep supporting. And for now, it's over and out. Good night. God bless. Stay safe. Stay strong. Stay positive. And from us here at Sooty FM, Kalinichta.
Good night,
Bye.
guys. Bye.